Some people are just stubborn to the point of not wanting to let a person kill them. From a man who survived from more than 600 failed assassinations to Jim Bowie, the man who knows no pain. In this video, you will discover the top 5 hardest people to kill in all the history. We know that all what you're willing to hear right now is unbelievable, but be sure that is the truth. Most 5 hardest people to kill in history. Number 5. Ferdinand Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan was the Portuguese explorer who discovered the Philippines. Magellan entered into a contract with a Filipino king, where he agreed to kill Lapu-Lapu, king of the Mactan Island. In 1521, he brought his crew to the island along with around 250 native warriors. But they were met with disaster as Lapu was waiting for him with a 1,500-strong army. As soon as the battle began, Magellan was shot with a poison dart. He was then stabbed in the face with a bamboo spear. As he drew his sword, he was slashed several times, sending him to the ground. Even with him being repeatedly stabbed and bludgeoned by a large group of natives, it still took several minutes to kill him. According to local legend, Lapu-Lapu transformed into a stone statue after the battle. Number 4. Gabriel Garcia Moreno. Gabriel Garcia Moreno was the president of Ecuador from 1861 until his death in 1875. Garcia was hated by liberals as he was seen as a military dictator, so it was only a matter of time until someone ordered the hit. On August the 6th he walked out of a Catholic cathedral to be met by a group of assassins. By use of machetes, they cut deep into his head. They cut off his left arm and his right hand. But that wasn't even enough to send him to the ground. For that, they had to shoot him 6 times. Before he lost his life, he was able to write the words "God does not die in his own blood," which is literally bloody terrifying. Number 3. Ned Kelly. Ned Kelly was the most famous Australian outlaw of the 19th century. His first run-in with the law was when he stole a pig from a Chinese man named Afuk. I must admit, when I first read that I thought it was a joke. But it's just the truth. He stole a pig from Afuk. But fast forward 11 years and Ned Kelly is a serious criminal. In June 1880, while 2 trains full of police officers were steaming to arrest him, Kelly and his gang rounded up 62 hostages inside an inn. When the police surrounded the inn, Kelly emerged from the doorway wearing a homemade suit of bulletproof armor. As the armor protected Kelly from the assault, and as the police began to panic, he took a shotgun clap to the legs, which was the only area not covered by his armor. Falling to the ground, he was soon captured and eventually hanged by the neck until dead. Number 2. Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro was the socialist dictator of Cuba up until 2008. The fact that he is still alive is a miracle considering there have been 638 attempts to assassinate him. Many of these were by the CIA. They include an attempt to replace his cigars with a box of exploding ones. The closest they ever came to killing him was by use of a poisoned milkshake, and Castro's radio announcement booth was once rigged with poison gas. Being one of the hardest people to kill, he is currently in his late 80s. Number 1. Rasputin. Rasputin was a Russian faith healer who managed to become a close friend of the Tsar. Rasputin had a lot of enemies as people blamed him for Russia's involvement in the First World War. So in 1916, it was decided that he had to die. A group of noblemen invited him into a basement and treated him to poison-laced cake and wine. Rasputin ate a lot of cake, and drank a lot of wine. But the poison didn't seem to affect him at all. After a while they began to wonder why he wasn't dead yet. They soon realized that he was just having a good time, so they shot him in the back with a handgun. As Rasputin looked dead, they left the palace. But when one of the men returned to the basement to fetch his coat, Rasputin got back on his feet and started strangling him. They shot Rasputin another 3 times, and when that didn't work they started beating him. When that didn't work they tied him up and threw him into a river. After he fell off the ice he was still alive and tried to free himself before finally drowning. He was basically the most stubborn of all the hardest people to kill ever.